Republican primary. On the line right now is County Executive Tony Picente. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Another exciting Boilermaker. We saw you there, and it was,
yes.
As Tim Reed calls it, he says uneventful, and that's a good thing.
That was a good thing.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances that happen around the world, and it was very good. And
yeah, you could not help but think about what was happening in Dallas, and then the copycat stuff. I mean, it scared everybody going into this Boilermaker weekend, but it was uneventful and positive and flawless would be a better word, I guess.
Flawless, yeah. I would say that.
All right, so, I have to tell you, I've heard more people say, what do you think Tony Picente thinks now after that primary? So I'll ask you that question. So what do you think now?
What do I think? Well, look, I think a three-way race is, always tough, depending on how the vote gets split up. And I think you saw in both cases, at least, I think for a guy like Steve Wells that I had supported, I mean, to get 37% of the vote or thereabouts, or, here and elsewhere, for somebody who didn't know him a couple months ago, that's pretty good now.
Yeah.
But I also think that the favorite son status worked for Claudia and worked for George Phillips down in their respective areas, and that's going to happen.
Do you think do you think some of the attack ads that were targeted at Assemblywoman Tenney? I heard a lot of people saying, "Boy, they just didn't click. They were going after her to saying she was tied to Cuomo and Shelley Silvers." And what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think some of them didn't click in that regard. I think when people, the political consultants will tell you that attacks work when you need to bring your numbers up and get known and bring the favorites numbers down. So I think they worked to a point, but I think they peaked, but I think they overdid it, and that could have led to some of the overkill on that too. There is a danger of going whether it's too far or too long with the same message, and it wears on people.
Yeah.
So those are clearly factors, and I think that had definitely had something to do with it. So it's like I say, it's a three-way race. It's a tough time in terms of a time frame. Excuse me. What I mean about that is that, and I talked to other elected officials, the congressional primary, the way it's set up in New York now, does favor. I mean, people like me and other elected officials who have name ID, who have a network in place, and who can mobilize quickly and do things. It's a real short time period from you're in February, you're seeking the endorsements of the various committees. You got to start petitions right after that in a short time period, and then it's June. And look, terrible turnout.
Yeah,
given a presidential year that even everybody thought would incite more voter interest, but terrible turnout.
Well, you got to be thinking
across the district.
Herkimer County was half. I thought Herkimer County's numbers were really interesting. It was half the turnout, which was dismal. Right. 2014 was dismal. This was half of 2014.
Right, it was. And look at Madison County. I mean, 800 people voted.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Something.
Well, and Tenney won Madison County. That was telling. Wells, that was his backyard.
It was his backyard, but again, never ran for office. Still, a businessman that people know, but look, he's an unknown, and he knew that going in, and we knew that as well. But he had a message. I thought his message was positive on his end, and look, to the victor goes the spoils. That's the way.
Okay.
There's only two outcomes here. We always talk about it. It's like a ball game. Somebody's going to win.
Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. Now, very interesting. I see an interesting dynamic coming up here for November, and we're expecting. I mean, if all holds true, and crazier things have happened, maybe not this year. It seems to take the cake, but crazy things can happen. But we're expecting, I would think, an enormous turnout in November. That I don't know what that means for someone like Assemblywoman Tenney. But she'll be facing this Martin Babnick, who is spending a lot of money and getting his message out there. and seems to be, again, a non-political person. Well, he is a non-political person.
He is.
Businessman. And then this woman, the Democrat from Binghamton. My question is the one everybody's asking me to ask you, and you know what it is. Will you support Assemblywoman Tenney in November? As a Republican, will you support her?
Look, I've gone through this numerous times. I've been very clear on my position. I mean, I do not subscribe to her style of governing, of politics, and why be a hypocrite and do that? I just can't do that for a variety of reasons, and I won't. And whether I sit this out or support somebody else, I don't know Kim Myers at all. I've never met her. I don't know anything about her, and I'm not inclined to skip party lines just for the sake of that. And so I mean that's not going to happen. But I do know Martin, and I don't know. I haven't decided whether I'm going to just sit it out and let the nature take its course, or the voters take its course. But look, I've been back and forth on this numerous times. We have a history that really got personal from her end. She didn't like the negative politics. Well, sometimes that's you get a taste of what you dish out. I mean, she's been dishing negative politics on me for the last 7 years, and I'm not, and they're personal, and that's not going to change. And there comes a point in time where, regardless of what happens, politics or not, you just say enough. And I said enough a while ago, and I don't subscribe to her style. And I still look. I never took a personal attack. I just said she was ineffective, and I still want people to tell me, okay, what has she accomplished? What has she done? And what is she going to do down there?
Yeah.
Which I didn't hear one thing about that, in the campaign.
First of all, I will tell you, and for those that may disagree with you, but at the end of the day, you've never wavered on this topic at all, and you've always been honest.
No.
And I think we had a conversation. You've had some people saying, "Well, don't be so honest." But I think you told me the last time we talked is that this is how I feel. I can't help but telling you how I feel.
Right, and I can. And look, I'd be a hypocrite to say, look, from the party aspect. I said this before, and I think I used a line that actually it's been used many times before, but John Kasich used it too when he was here. I said, look, the Republican Party is my vehicle. They're not my master. I don't have to follow the line of every Republican that runs just because I'm a Republican. I find it too compromising. And again, when I don't believe in the style, when I don't believe in the approach, and most importantly, when I don't believe in the outcome, I'm not going to support that. And whether I do nothing or support someone of my choice, I have the same convictions. And as far as the Republican Party, I've been loyal, and I've worked hard for 35 years for them. What I've done, in terms of my record as county executive is clear. It continues to I continue to make progress, and we'll keep doing that. And that's my focus. So
right.
The politics is a side piece, but it also is about who I choose to support in terms of whom I feel I can work with going forward. So
I want to ask you
my prerogative.
Just a final question with politics when which I just love digging in from a political strategy standpoint. Babnick leans Republican. Him being in the race could really split the Republican vote. And I've had a lot of people say, listen, Babnick doesn't have a chance. He's on this made-up line. Well, now he's on the reform line, and he'll be on his own party if he gets the proper number of signatures. What I've found interesting is he's lining up and affiliating himself with some pretty big hitters in the in politics here. He's surrounding himself with some really good people. I don't know that you can say Babnick doesn't have a chance.
No, I don't. And look, people will say, "Well, I'm just looking for another approach to defeat the Assemblywoman." But I guess the point here is, look, this is in my thinking about running for Congress months ago. I mean, I tried to look at the big picture of what the year is going to be like, not just the primary season, going into the full election season. You got a lot of Democrats who don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. You've got a lot of Republicans who don't want to vote for Donald Trump, and in turn, they don't want to vote for either one. Neither one of them want to flip. So an independent in a year like this may have, a more of an advantage than in years past. It's still an uphill climb. It's still a lot of work, but a guy like Martin, with his resume and with his with the bankroll that he's been using, even alone in that primary season, I had people tell me when that primary took place that from the ads and from his being all around that they were looking for him on the ballot.
Right.
So you don't know. And look, there's a long time now between July and November, and we'll see who wins the race. To make the best case. But I think he is. I think in the case of this third party this time with somebody like Martin, he's going to be in that mix right until the end.
Yeah, I agree.
At least in terms of the media and in terms of the discussion of the congressional, he's not going to be written off as a third party that's down on the ballot. He's going to be competing.
Going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be interesting. County Executive, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Always good to talk to you.
As always. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you.